into the Intentional Wellness Parenting Show every third Tuesday of each month at 11:30 a.m. Pacific, 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time with me, Orally Cormier, and Dr. Pat, where we help you to create healing and wellness every living day. We want you to succeed, and this show will help you do just that.
Welcome to Passion of the Soul with me, Elena Lieberman, the new power hour for your consciousness. This is the space where you awaken to your authentic potential, the truth of who you really are. Here, we open the mind and heart and tune into the essence of the soul, the force that fuels your entire being and invites miracles into your life. Each episode inspires you to respond to the layers of potential within you and bring your unique legacy into the world. As you listen and watch, you'll discover that you can be the answer to your own quest. Get ready to tune into your innermost voice and live in alignment with your highest truth. Passion of the Soul starts now. Hello, everyone. I'm your host, Elena Lieberman, and you are listening to Passion of the Soul on Transformation Talk Radio. Stay with us this hour and let us help you experience the new power hour for your consciousness every first and third Thursday of the month, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. We will have some of the most brilliant visionaries, artists, healers, and authors who have walked miraculous journeys inspiring you. Today is episode 7, and we're featuring Self-Led, Living a Connected Life with Yourself and Others, authored by Seth Copeland. Explore the wisest, most healed version of yourself connecting to a higher power. Find parts of yourself that need healing and loving attention. Live life to its fullest in relationship with yourself and with others. Our guest tonight is Dr. Seth Copeland. He has a PhD in organization management and leadership, and he specializes in internal family systems. He holds retreats and workshops, and he works with couples, individuals, parents, and in the workspace. He is very fond of a spiritual approach and, in fact, does exquisite attunements. He works with leadership and parts art. He's also an Akashic record consultant. Welcome, Seth.
Thank you so much for having me, Elena.
Well, we're just thrilled that you could be here with us this evening. So I have a few questions I would like to ask you. First of all, what exactly is Internal Family Systems, or IFS, and who is this self, and what are these parts, so that we can discuss?
Sure. So internal family systems, it's a model that's used by a few different types of people. A lot of therapists use the model as a model for psychoanalysis. And there's a whole group of people who've been trained who are called practitioners like myself, and we use it in the role of like coaching or things like that. And also a lot of doctors have taken the training as well. So Internal Family Systems was founded by Richard Schwartz, and he developed the model. He was a family systems therapist, which is where you bring a whole family together in one room and you're noticing the dynamics of how they act and react together. Even having one person in a room might affect the whole group a certain way. And when he started talking to people individually, he started to notice that people would talk about their own system in a very similar way. Like one part of me says this, and another part of me says this. And I always like to give the example about what happens to you when you think about having dessert. Sometimes it's like, well, there's one part of me that really wants that piece of cake. And then you get this other voice is like, well, your doctor said you shouldn't be having sugar and things like this. And then after you eat the cake, you might have a critic that comes in and says, why did you do that? You always cave. Why did? So it's really natural, and there's many models where the mind is, we call it multiplicity of the mind. That's a normal thing. That's something that's accepted across many disciplines, that we carry many perspectives at once. And what we find in IFS is that these parts are almost like real actors in our system that we could talk to. Because if you talk to the critic, or if you talk to, and I actually choose with my clients, especially, to not even use the word critic. I like to say the one who criticizes, because we don't want to pigeonhole these parts. Because one thing we know about parts is they all think they're helping. So if there's a critical voice in you, we know that that part's trying to keep you safe somehow. Often, like a critical voice would have started when you were being criticized by a parent, by a father or a mother, and that voice, that part maybe took on this role to say, if I criticize you, maybe you won't make those mistakes
So let me
to be
just,
criticized from the outside.
now that you're talking about parts, and you said a parent, so how do these parts actually get there inside of you?
Right. Well, we think that we're all born with these parts, and some of them are kind of latent, or even like the reason why we do IFS is sometimes these parts take on extreme roles, and it make one feeling uncomfortable in life. Like maybe we're too isolated, or we're feeling too anxious, or it might be aggressive. So people get help and get therapy or get coached. Um, so we believe that everybody has these parts already. Like for right now, I'm teaching, right? I'm talking.
Yeah,
So I have a teaching part that's kind of helping me. Now, the key is if I carried a lot of burdens that I hadn't healed, this teaching part might be really focused on, do I look good? Am I saying the right thing? Can I make these people like me? Otherwise, I might feel worthless. Where I've healed a lot of my systems, so it's more like this teaching part enjoys sharing with the world. And I don't have these agendas that I have to look a certain way. Of course, in some situations, I still have those. But
yeah,
um, and then you mentioned self. So
yes.
the idea is is that we all have a place inside that can't be harmed, that is aligned with whatever you believe is the highest power, or whether it's nature, God, the universe,
So
or
let me,
however you perceive that. It doesn't matter, but we all have this higher self. And my job is, let me just say this and I'll stop. But my job is to help the client, or help you connect with that place. And then when we talk to our parts and be with them, it's almost like we're reparenting, like we're like giving the parts the love and attention they've always needed, and then they don't have to take over our bodies, our minds so much.
yes,
So I'll pause
yeah.
there.
So let me ask you some questions based on your book. So what are some in the self? What are some of these 8 C's and 5 P's so that internally we can recognize that self?
Yeah. So, Dick Schwartz, he goes by Dick as well. When he wrote the book, when he created the model, he created these C's and P's as a way to help people understand and recognize self. And there's lots of other things besides these things, but and we all of us always have to look at our notes because it's hard to remember 8 things, but things like curiosity, compassion, confidence,
Yeah.
courage, clarity, connectedness, creativity, calmness. And the P's are presence, patience, perspective, persistence, playfulness. And if you think about,
We have to look at our inner notes too on
yeah,
them.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So
You
if we think
did
of,
great job. You didn't have to do all of it.
so if we think of those qualities, all of them are very positive. Like I have courage, like when I have a lot of self energy, and that's a whole nother piece. Like there's this, it's almost like the collective self energy we all share, like almost like water, right? Like the ocean has water, we have
Yes,
water,
yes.
rivers have water. So from this place of self, there's these similar qualities that show up that we feel calm, we feel creative. We can have courage even to set limits with people.
Uh-huh.
It's not always
Uh-huh.
just soft and gentle. Like self can also be strong and have courage. And
So I want to ask you, based on your book, I want one of the most intriguing. There are terminologies for these parts, and
uh
one of the most interesting ones are the
right.
exiled part, and the protectorate. If you just want to talk about that, they like leap forward in the book. You say, "Oh, that
Yeah,
exiled part," you know?
for sure. So in general, there are these two categories. And I'll start with the protectors because I think it's a little easier to explain. Our protectors is kind of what people see on the with our personality. Like if somebody kind of comes off as a little like they're really organized, or they're always on time, or this person's a little shy, or a little more protective, or a little bit more edgy. Um, our protectors try to keep us safe, and the exiles are the parts of us who've been harmed throughout our life. And so, for instance, say when we were 5 years old, and one of our parents or another person says something like really deeply harmful to us. Oftentimes, like say a young child is dancing and being loud because they're in their self energy, like they're just buoyant, and a father might snap at them, like telling them to shut up and don't do this in my house.
Yeah.
So then part of it's almost like they fracture in that moment, and something
Oh.
has to be pushed
Oh.
away into the background, into the subconscious almost. And then the protectors step forward. And oftentimes the protectors are like, ooh, let's push that away. And let's be
Yeah.
the perfect angel now. We're the quiet little boy now.
Let's hold that thought. We have to go on a little break right now. But before we go on that break, I would like you please to tell all our listeners how can they get in touch with you and also how they can buy your book. Could you please share that?
Sure. Probably the easiest way is if you just enter my name in whatever search engine you like. But it's sethkopal.com. So SETHKOP like Paul, ALD like David.com. That's my website, and it has my contact information, my email if you want to contact me personally. But in on my website, there's links to my book. You can find my book in most major bookstores. But if you
Oh,
want a personal copy from me on my website, you can order it off my website, and then I'll sign it and address it to you in the book. I'll usually write a personal message
oh.
and then mail it to you directly.
Okay, well, that's wonderful. And I'm Elena Lieberman, and you can reach me for consultations or for my book. I also will write in it, or you can get it on Amazon. You can reach me at dynamicmanifestation.com/connect. So we'll be back soon, and remember that we have Seth Copeland talking about his book, and also I'm going to ask him about the journey that led him to IFS when we come back. Looking for inspiration that awakens your soul? Join me, Elena, on Passion of the Soul every first and third Thursday, 5 p.m. Pacific, on Transformation Talk Radio. I interview brilliant creators, artists, healers, and visionaries. Visit my website, dynamicmanifestation.com. Passion of the Soul, where your truth comes alive.
Join us on Kaleidoscope for Becoming every second Wednesday at 12:30 p.m. Pacific Time on Transformation Talk Revolution where you are invited to revel in your becoming better and brighter on purpose. This isn't just a show, it's a prayer disguised as a podcast, and together we are evolving on purpose. Visit www.celestialempowerment.com for more information.
Erica Gifford Mills has written the book that is about to change your life. If you yearn to branch out, to take a leap of faith, to love yourself and others fully, and to finally let go of whatever no longer serves you, then Erica's book, The Rooted Life, Live, Love, Let Go, is for you. Readers will learn about how their values affect every aspect of their lives, why self-care and self-love is a critical first step to stopping limiting beliefs and negative thoughts in their tracks. The Rooted Life, Live, Love, Let Go teaches readers who are ready to unlearn unhealthy patterns to set, communicate, and keep their boundaries, to live with passion on purpose, and to create goals with the intention of putting them into action. Once you pick up your own copy along with the companion workbook, you'll be one step closer to being fully equipped, empowered, and enlightened on your path to be yourself for yourself. If you're ready to plant powerful and intentional roots to live it up, love it up, and let it go, visit getrootedradio.com.
Hi there, Anahata Roach, the Crystal Coach here. Do you have things that you do or respond to or feel triggered by that you have no idea why? Whatever that is, whether it was something that you are even conscious about or you actually have a memory of, there is in your body stored programs and trauma that an emotional clearing will help you unlock. It's called the spiral, and it is one of the most amazing clearing modalities I've ever come across. If you'd like to know more about the spiral and this wonderful modality that has helped so many people, including myself, please go to my website, thecrystalcoach.com, and click on the Discovery Call. It's free, and who knows, we might be meant to work together.
We're back on Passion of the Soul. I'm Elena Lieberman. And Seth, could you please give your information again to listeners so they know how to contact you and to get your book?
Yes, probably the easiest way is just to go to my website, sethkopal.com. So it's SETHKOPALD.com. And from there you could get my email, and you could also order my book or get links to different stores. But if you want a personal copy of my book signed, ordering it from my website is the way to go for that.
Well, that's wonderful. And I just want to remind people that I have a new special offering, Dynamic Manifestation / Akashic Record Consultation. It includes 90 minutes with my book and the Akashic Record Consultation and 2 45-minute follow-ups, all for $400. Please contact me if you're interested. I'd love to hear from you at dynamicmanifestation.com/connect. So we have Seth Cobalt here, and I asked him about his journey that led him to internal family systems, and I wondered if you'd share that with us now.
Sure. So I heard about internal family systems while I was going through a divorce, and I was feeling pretty anxious, mostly because one of my passions is in working with young children and parenting, and so the idea of not being with my children 100% of the time was causing me a lot of anxiety. And I was also worried about them, what's going to happen to them, not having me there all the time. And I went to a therapist, and the therapist introduced me to the introduction book to internal family systems written by Richard Schwartz. I remember sitting on an airplane. Excuse me. I was on an airplane, and I started reading the book. And when I first even saw the idea that something like anxiety, being anxious, isn't really you, like your core self, that it's a part of you that's taking you over, that you're being blended. They use the word blended. So like this part is scared and it takes over my consciousness and I feel what it's feeling. And as soon as I realized that you could even ask these parts, can you just give me a little space so that I could listen to you or hear you? I got this incredible relief. And it was such a pinnacle moment for me to know that I could do that. My anxiety dropped like hugely. I was
Well,
still,
that's
of course,
wonderful.
sad and still, of course, concerned, but I wasn't like, I was able to cope with it. And then because I'm a learner and I worked with Head Start programs at the time, and a lot of the work we do is with social emotional development with young children. And I had professional development money for work, and I go, I wonder if this IFS has a conference. And I looked it up. In 2 weeks from that day, there was a conference in Chicago, and I was like, I'll sign up. And I
All
go there,
right.
and these is how these magical things happen. I get to the airport. My shuttle driver was supposed to pick me up in a van, and he calls me and says, "Hey, I am also a limo service, and I wasn't able to get home to get the van. Are you okay if I pick you up in the limo?" I'm like, okay. So this white stretch limo pulls up to take me to the conference. I'm like, I think I'm in the right place
You're in the
here.
right place. Yes, it was
Uh,
wonderful.
so then I really learned what it was, and in fact, I actually then switched therapists after a while to somebody even more experienced because this person was just learning IFS. And that person eventually said, why don't you take the training? I mean, you seem to be really great at
Yeah,
it.
you were deeply touched by it. Yeah, really,
Yeah.
really wonderful. Now,
Hmm.
I want to ask you about the partners or husband and wife. And one thing that was terrific in your book was the courageous discussion. And that was very resonant for me. And how can that be transformational? Can you give us examples of that? How does that go on?
Yeah. Well, yeah, it could be used for any partners, in any type of marriage, whether it's husband, wife, or two men, two women, however it works. And so basically, once I'm aware of my own parts, I can tell you about them. So, say for instance, you and I were married, and I was really angry with you, or you did something to hurt me. Instead of allowing the hurt part to talk, or instead of allowing the angry part to take over my body and yell at you, I would sit with my parts first and listen to them. And
That's
so
really important.
tell me why you're angry, tell me what happened. And usually like for me, my angry one who gets angry often is a teenager. And I also have young parts that get very hurt. Because for me, my most of my wounding growing up is around parents who weren't really present. So I didn't have a lot of attunement. So that's why I've committed myself to exquisite attunement. So if my wife, gets angry or looks away or makes a frown, sometimes my really young parts, I can feel them stirring like, ooh, this is happening. Like we're not getting the attention we need. So then a courageous conversation would be one, scheduling, like, are you open to having a conversation? If not now, how about later? Because we really want somebody to have consent and to be listening to
Oh, they're
you.
very important. Yes.
Because
Yes.
oftentimes we just start blurting things out when the person isn't ready to listen, and then you're telling something really important, and you get hurt because the person's not even ready to hold what you have to say, right?
Yes.
So you make an
Yes.
appointment with your partner, with your friend, or whoever you're with, and then you start to tell story. You share the story of these parts. So with this part, I have this part who got so angry with you because when you said that thing, it really hit me deep and hit those younger parts. So this part wanted to like lash out at you to make you stop until you wouldn't hurt these young parts. And then the other partner could share what's happening in their system. So if you notice that there's not a much you did
Yeah,
this.
right. Not the blame, shame kind of
Right,
thing.
exactly.
Right.
And it takes a lot of courage because it's very intimate and then you're really
Yeah.
disclosing.
It is very courageous emotionally. Very
Right.
courageous. Yes.
And Tony Irvine Blank really helped the IFS with that piece. Like she created a whole model around couples work. So I just want to honor her that idea came from her.
Wonderful. Well, let's apply this to the workplace. Now, to me, that's ultra stressful.
Mm-hmm.
How do you bring, yeah, you specialized in leadership.
Yeah.
in the workplace, in
Right.
organizations. So
Hmm.
how are you going to even create a space for people to be able to express themselves from parts or listen? What do
Right.
you do? What do you do
Okay.
with
Yeah.
that?
So if I was going to be working with a leader, first I want to share there's something here around the inner physics of things. So if I talk to you from one of my protectors, like say I have a part who's really upset. So a lot of times leaders get really mad when they think they're going to look bad, right? Like say the team does something or the products or the leader, without even knowing it, they often feel like I'm the one that's going to look bad. So
Yes,
oftentimes
yes,
they rage at their staff or they use passive aggressive language or they come with an idea and they're not really curious. They're just like, this is what we're doing. And when somebody leads from a part, automatically other people's parts come up. So if
oh,
I was like being mean to you right now or
yeah,
critical, you would
yes,
have to push me away, right? So the idea of this is like if you can help leaders come from their authentic self, which feels a lot more safe, when they sit down, other people's systems, their body, their parts, their protectors can start to relax. Now
yes.
here's the cool thing.
The cool
When you
thing,
when your parts relax and your self is able to be present, that's because your brain has more capacity. Because when you're in a fight or flight response, like my boss is upset with me, I have to keep my job. You're not able to have creative thinking. You're not be able to be innovative. You're just like trying to figure out what do I do to save myself.
yes,
But when a leader can create a safe climate where people's parts can relax, now the leader gets the best out of those employees. Now they could think creatively, they can throw out ideas, they can come up with new ideas. So that's this one thing. And what if there's a conflict in an organization? We can use something like this where people can even notice, like even if
yeah.
somebody says the word like, "Ooh, there's a part of me that's really mad about that email you sent." That's very different than "I'm so mad at you
Yeah,
about
I'm
it."
so mad at you. Well, we're going to take another little break right now.
Mm,
So, quickly, do you want to give your information again to the
sure.
listeners so they know how to contact you after
Yeah.
all of this that you've been talking about? It's really
Yeah.
fascinating.
So I'll just, if people are watching, this is my book.
Self-led, there it
And
is.
it's right on my website. And you can just go to sethkopald.com. So it's SETHKOP like Paul, ALD like David.com. And then it has even my email. So if you wanted to try IFS with me or Akashic Records or anything like that, you can also get a hold of me there. Or just have questions about the model. I'm happy to share.
Well, thank you so much. And we'll be back shortly. And we're going to discuss now handling the children right after our break.
Are you ready to listen to your soul? Discover the power of pausing and turning in on Our Soul Whisper with Kathy Belmont and Dr. Pat. This sacred show offers a safe space for self-discovery, healing, and soulful transformation. Let your inner voice rise, be heard, and gently guided into expression. Tune in every first and third Wednesday at 11 a.m. Pacific on Transformation Talk Radio. Subscribe now so you never miss the whisper meant just for you. Visit OurSoulWhisper.com.
Hi, I'm Gwenem Carsley, transformational body, sex, and soul coach. Skin and Soul is not for the tame. It's for the parts of you that ache in silence, that pulse in the dark. It's where truth slips beneath the skin, where longing, death, and desire kiss. Strip down, breathe deeper. Remember what it means to be alive. Join me Fridays at Skin and Soul, 10 a.m. PST on Transformation Talk Radio.
Are you ready to get big and live your life out loud? Tune in to Get Big Out Loud Radio, exploring life through the lens of curiosity and compassion. With me, Carrie Knudsen, joining Dr. Pat live every second Monday at 10 a.m. Pacific on TransformationTalkRadio.com. I will offer ideas to transform what you are thinking into conscious action. If you want to get big and live your life out loud, visit me at KnutSonSpeaks.com.
If you're feeling stressed, overwhelmed, or in grief, I'm here to help. I'm Faye Lau, intuitive healer and founder of Faye Inspired Healing. Through soul-guided sessions, I help you reconnect with your body's wisdom and inner truth. Whether you're healing from loss, letting go of pain, or rising into elevated energies, my work combines energy clearing, grief support, and spiritual coaching. Schedule a session or learn more at FayeInspiredHealing.com.
There is more to life than simply surviving or even thriving. There's flourishing. High performance and quantum success coach Beth Larson helps you calibrate and elevate your life. Beth specializes in working with women who want more from their life, more energy, joy, passion, connection, and more meaning. As your coach, she will help you get clear about your life, prioritize what's important, and become a master of your energy. Visit BethLarsonCoaching.com.
Welcome back. I'm Elena Lieberman, and you are listening to Passion of the Soul. Our guest is Seth Copeland, author of Self-Led, Living a Connected Life with Yourself and with Others. So, Seth, it's really interesting to find out how we work with children with this, and I have to say that in your book, the examples that you gave of working with your own children were really interesting. So go ahead and say what happens. What happens when the child is really resistant to something, and how do you give voice to the parts in but still show love? That is very elusive to some people. So if you'll please share about that and the examples you give in the book about your own children.
Okay, sure. So one thing I'll say is, like, a lot of times in therapy, it's like almost like classic that people want to have you go back to your childhood. And the reason why that's important in IFS is that oftentimes how parents or the caregivers respond to a child really determine how the child sees themselves. Because children at a very young age are very concrete thinkers. Like, they can't think, oh, mom is going through a hard time, or dad's going through a hard time, or my caregiver is going through a hard time. Therefore, that's why they're upset with me. That's why they treat me this way. They think it's their fault. So we create beliefs about ourselves, like we're too much, we're too little, we're bad, and things like that. And that's when those exiles happen, like those things, like we can't believe that we're bad, so our protectors push that away. And like I said with the workplace, that parts beget parts, that as a parent, if a child is being resistant, or if say misbehaving, or like say we're at a restaurant and they're yelling and screaming, and you really just want to keep so that your family stays within your table, not across the whole restaurant. That when we have to be careful as parents to say, oh, well, it works when I threaten my child. If I threaten my child, like, you're going to lose your toys, or you're going to go to your room, they get quiet, and you might think, oh, that's a good strategy. Well, what's happening in that moment, if you do that, is that children are being threatened and they're scared. And they're learning that's how you treat people, right? And we can go into all the bad things that causes. But when I can be in myself and just even acknowledge, maybe like, hey, I can tell that, like, because one of the C's is curiosity, right? Like, I'm curious. Like, let me watch you for a moment. Oh, wow, I see that you have a lot of energy right now. And I see that you really want to use your voice. And I just want to let you know, for this restaurant, so everybody can enjoy their meals, I need you to quiet your voice down. Not you need to, because if they needed to, they would, right? So it's really more honest that I need you. And of course, if you end up having to step out, you do. But the key is that we don't want to give the impression that you have to be a good little boy or bad little boy in order to deserve my love and
Oh,
appreciation.
right, right,
Because so
absolutely.
often we only give love when they're doing the right thing. That teaches people to be followers and like just be a good person, caregivers, just to get their love. And oftentimes it means like I can't be my whole self with you. And I do have
Yes,
to exile parts of myself that like to be loud or parts that like to play if you don't like it. So
yes,
the idea is even when we're giving a limit, it has to be done with love.
yes, yes,
And the self knows how to do that. So as you get separation from your parts, because a lot of times the protector who might be like, you need to settle down, kid.
yeah, yeah.
That part is protecting me
Yes,
because that part thinks the rest of this restaurant is looking at me and what kind of parent do they think I am? So if this kid keeps screaming, I look bad and it touches my exiles that I'm a bad man. I'm a bad boy.
so
And I
what
might
would
not
you do
consciously.
with a child who's screaming in the restaurant?
So I would say, like I said, first, if you're, if you've read my book or know how to do this, I might say, whoa, there's a lot going on in here. First
Yeah, yeah,
parts, can everybody give me enough space so I can talk to the child? And I might even say to my angry part, hey, if you let me handle this, I can help us look good, right? Like the child will more likely calm down if you let me do this, but if you scream at him, we're gonna have a lot of other issues later, right?
yes,
So my parts step back, and then my energy is one of like, hey, I love you. I'm here for you. And that's not a choice right now.
yes,
And I see you
yes,
have a lot of energy. So are you, for everybody else who's eating, let's bring our voices down. And if they can't do that, we might say, maybe then we need to go outside and let you get out some of this energy, or maybe we need to take our food to go. But I'm not going to break this child's spirit by
right.
threatening them or telling them the way you make humans do things is you hold something over their head like you're going to lose your toys. And people might say, well, it works, but it also works to say like you're going to get a spanking. But being just because it works doesn't mean it's good for the child.
Yes. Now, you had an instance in your book where there was, I don't know if it's your stepchild or a child from a previous marriage that you talk about, and loving the child or showing real affection or what you thought would happen. There's an example in your book.
Was it the one I gave lots of examples with the
I know
one
you gave a lot of,
with my son when he was worried about the permission slip, or was it a different
that
story?
was one of them, so go ahead with that one,
Well,
with
here,
the
this one, I
permission
really
slip.
love this story. So,
Yeah, it's a great
right
story.
when we got divorced, my son was really
Yes.
starting to feel anxious
This is a,
about things. And he got a permission slip from school that said your mom and dad have to sign this thing for you to go on this field trip.
that's right.
And he was
That's
with
right.
me during this week. And he was so worried that if mom didn't sign it,
Yeah,
and that's a choice I make. I don't say your mother because that holds a lot of energy. So I just
yeah.
say mom. So
Yes.
mom didn't sign it. He thought he wasn't going to get to go. And he was getting really revved up to the point where he couldn't even go to school. He was just like, and then we had this toy that demonstrates parts with these little colored balls. And, and I said, hey, do you want to try this toy and see if we can work this out? And he said, sure. I said, well, which ball represents your worry? And he picked this black ball. And how close does it feel to the big yellow ball, which is yourself? He decided if it's really close, it means the feeling is really big, right? So he put the
Oh,
ball right
oh,
next to
this is
self.
amazing. This is
And I
for children.
said, and then I looked at him and I said, is it okay if I talk to you, the worry part of you? And he just kind of nodded. I said, I want to promise you that it could be my job to make sure this permission slip gets signed and you don't have to worry about it because I guarantee you I will take this job and I will make sure it happens. And
Yeah,
I'm asking the worried part of you just to give that job to me.
Wow.
instead of having it be the worry part's job to make sure it happens.
That was courageous.
And
That
then
was loving and beautiful.
and then I said, how does the loving can look at the toy and how does it feel now? And he took the ball and moved it the farthest away from self and put it on the toy on these outer rings. And I think the most beautiful thing that happened to me is I said, you ready to go? And he kind of gave me a hug and all this stuff. And I'm like, are you ready to go? And he's like, yeah. And we get into the kitchen, and he's a very active, like sports kid. He literally like threw his backpack and just like darted back into the room. And I kind of looked just in time, like, what is he doing? He took the ball off the ring and stuck it in the bowl. And to me, that
Wow.
represented like, this is over. Like, it's so over.
Over.
Like, I'm good, you know? And then I was like, this IFS stuff works. Like, this was like the beginning of my journey. That's when I was like, wow, this is amazing for parenting. Right. So just by using these phrases like, hey, I can tell there's an angry part of you right now, like to say a child screaming at me, I could say, you're being disrespectful. You don't yell at me that way, son or daughter. Or I could say, hey, I noticed there's a part of you who's really angry, and that part of
Yeah,
you is yelling at me. So I'm going to ask the angry part of you if it could just give you a little
that's
space,
amazing.
and I want you to tell me about the anger.
Well, that shows so much respect coming from you. Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
So much respect coming from you. You're showing him respect. So that helps him find the respect in himself.
Right.
And it's just an amazing thing.
And it says I love you even though you're yelling at me. Right?
Yes.
Because setting limits is love, right? Because I'm not going to let you fall off the cliff. I'm not going to let you be somebody who yells at people. That means I love you because I care about you that much that I'm going to help you with these kind of emotions. You're allowed to have them, but there's ways of expressing them that where people can hear you.
Yes, yes, that's amazing. Well, we're going to take another short break right now. And Seth, do you want to give your information to our listeners?
Yeah, so you can just reach me at my website, sethkopal.com, SETHKOP like Paul, ALD like David.com, and my email's there. You can get my book there. You can see what services I provide there as well.
And we're going to take the break, and when we come back, we're going to discuss something about the spiritual side of the self. We'll take the break, and we'll see you shortly.
Are you struggling with unresolved emotions or recurring patterns? Tune into Beyond Birth Trauma, From Burden to Brilliance with me, Shannon O'Flaherty, on Transformation Talk Radio. On the second Tuesday at 10 a.m. Pacific Time, we'll explore your own birth experiences and consider how they might be affecting your current life patterns to start your journey towards self-discovery and healing. For more information, visit shannonbtb.com. That's shannonbtb.com.
Are you curious about how the quantum energy world impacts your health and well-being? Join medical intuitive Jane Phillips as she provides a space for insight, growth, and transformation with practical tools and perspectives to help you stay positive, navigate challenges, and reclaim your personal power. Visit janecphillips.com to book a session or class and explore how energy wisdom can help you heal and thrive.
What if Sanctuary wasn't just a place, but a way of living? Tune into the Sanctuary Network every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern with me, Mary Ellen Popick, for inspiring conversations featuring thought leaders, healers, authors, and everyday seekers, plus voices from the Sanctuary Marketplace, spotlighting the community that makes this movement thrive. This isn't just a show, it's your sanctuary. Visit thesanctuarynetwork.com for more information.
Available now, Ascendancy Awakened by Pankaj Singh. Surprising Way to Successes by Leaders Unleashing Potential and Taking Command. When was the last time you checked in with yourself? Leadership isn't just about confidence, it's about overcoming burnout, responsibility, and unseen challenges. Ascendancy Awakened delivers a powerful framework to help you take command of your life and career with the Ascendancy Action System, a transformational approach to unlocking your full potential. Don't wait. Get your copy today. Visit singpowerupcoach.com now.
Welcome back. I'm Elena Lieberman, and you're listening to Passion of the Soul. Our guest is Seth Copeland, author of Self-Love. It is Self-Love. Self-Led. Living a Connected Life with Yourself and with Others. And one last time, please, Seth, could you give the information to our listeners so they can contact you and get your book?
Yeah. So the best way to get to me is my website, which is sethkopald.com, SETHKOPALD. And from there, you can get my email, you can get my book, you can see what services I provide. It's the best place to reach me.
And you can reach me at dynamicmanifestation.com/connect. Well, we want to move into our final part this evening, which is really about the self and connecting to the higher power and what that experience is like for people. For instance, what happens when that self, they find the self and they have a spiritual experience? When we have that spiritual experience, do we connect with sacred beings or guardians? What does the consciousness do to recognize that fluid connection in all levels?
It's a great question. It's different for many people, and because sometimes their system won't let them connect with guides or beings like that. But the consistent thing that happens is there's a sense of spaciousness and calm that floods the whole system. Because basically what happens when there's a concentration of what we call self energy, which means I'm stepping into the self, you start to realize that, oh wow, I am connected to more than just me. I'm connected to the higher being. I'm connected to others. It's very similar to like the mycelium in the forest. Like I'm like, oh, there's something here I feel connected. And magically, when there's this concentration of energy, our parts seem to just relax. In fact, like some people in therapy use things like MDMA to help the people with PTSD find some sense of love and calm in their system to be with their parts. The MDMA and self energy is almost the same kind of effect. Like self energy, when I help clients get there, it's almost like they're taking a medicine like MDMA.
There's a great expansion in it that we talk about. There's an awareness that you're part of everything and you move from one level to the next as you realize that.
Right.
And it's a tremendous union and a reunion at the same time, which we've talked about.
Yeah,
Yes.
and I like to say like there's a texture to it that you could start to realize like, oh, this is when I'm here. Because sometimes we have parts that think we're like you might have a part who meditates and you follow this process and you do this and do that. Oftentimes it could almost be like a spiritual bypass where I might be tapping into that and not spending time working with my parts and healing what needs to be healed. So we might even say like, who's meditating? Is it really you, or is it a part of you that feels like this is the only thing that's going to save me? And if I meditate every day for 30 minutes and I sit and I sit and I sit, it'll happen. You might get benefits from that, but as we help people get even more separation from even though it's really helpful parts of us that are striving, like parts of our ego that can separate.
Sometimes when we look at this with the Akashic records, we're asked, where do we feel this?
Right.
And integrate. So we use the breath, we use the heart energy from the heart. The heart energy is very important, and then it goes out to the environs, is what we say, and that
Right.
great expansion occurs. So let me ask you this. You're a consultant with Akashic Records. How has that influenced, or how has IFS influenced your work with the
Yeah.
Akashic Records and vice versa?
Well, one thing I'll say that what you just said ties to it very closely about the difference from your attention, like how am I perceiving you right now? If it's in above my shoulders, like if it's in my head, it's a very different texture than if I almost take my attention, let it drift past my throat into my heart space, where if I sense you from my heart, ooh, like even just doing that just now, you even feel different to me.
Yes.
Like this is not like a mental conversation anymore. Now I'm like, hey, Elena, like, how are you? Like, oh,
Yes,
I feel
yeah.
you now, right?
Yes, yes,
So, in Akashic Records, when our attention is up in our head,
yeah,
our channel kind of squeezes closed. Like
yes,
we can't really sense things as well. But when we sense things more from a spatial place, because our brain, it's like, is this right? Do I need to know this? Is my hearing this right? Or is this me
yeah,
or is this them? Where the heart is like, I know. Like this is it. Like I feel it. I sense it. I'm not scared. Because that's another
yeah,
thing that's great about the self. There's no fear.
yeah,
Only parts have fear. So if I'm
yes.
feeling any fear or discomfort, I know I'm not there yet.
Well, the me and them is interesting with parts. It's also interesting with Akashic Records because it melds so intimately within the total being.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really important that this totality be realized or known. It's actually
Right.
known deep in the heart of the person.
Yes.
So it's really very, very
Yeah.
important.
And is it
So,
okay if I add one more thing?
yes, and I'd
Um,
also like a closing message from the self,
oh,
the
okay.
total self for
Well,
our
do we
listeners.
have time for me to share one more
Yeah,
story before
yes,
we
we
do that?
do.
Okay.
We do.
Well, it's the story is in my book, but there was one time I realized with spirituality that I was engaged in a prayer service, and there's a prayer that you could talk to God. It's called the Amida, and
Yes,
you could
thank you.
spend time talking to God with your own personal way. And I realized you would normally ask, like, could you please bring health to my family, to myself? Can you help us make sure that we have good jobs? Or and then one day I was thinking about it in terms of IFS. I'm like, wait a minute, who's praying here? And I realized there was a part of me who felt scared about my health and about other people's health and about our jobs. Because I'm asking for this, like, oh my God, please make sure I'm okay. And when I asked that part to give me space and I felt more self energy, then I was like, well, now how do I want to be in relationship with God in this moment? And then what was very clear was it's time for me to ask God, like, what do you want me to know?
Mm-hmm.
And
That's
so I
right.
just asked, what do you want me to know? And I heard, you don't need to seek the acceptance of others, you have mine.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's
And my whole
beautiful.
system just relaxed, and like so many of my life problems cleared up because it's not like saying, oh, I'm better than anyone else. It's more like if I feel this love and holding, my parts who are scanning everybody to find out, am I lovable? Do you love me?
Yeah,
Am I
yes,
okay? They all just would like, well, if we have this, we don't need to
yes,
like do that anymore. And so something, my whole system shifted.
yes.
So as we engage in
Deep,
spirituality,
it's a deep inner voice
hmm
that you receive in all directions. You're the
hmm
receiver, you're the giver, you're the in one. You're in oneness.
hmm it was
Yes.
a really beautiful experience.
It's a beautiful experience. Well, I want to thank you so much for being on the show. And I always like to close the evening with something from my own book. And this has a part, it actually has the word part in it.
Mm.
So we want to tap into the part of ourselves that directs a very positive voice and creates solutions so your energy and thinking can move in a creative direction filled with gratitude. Like love flowing from a guardian who is highly attuned to your loving nature in a pure, innocent state. So
Mm.
that does tie in with the return to original innocence that we talk
That is
about.
self.
And So I thought it might fit in with everything
That's
you're
perfect.
saying.
That's
So
perfect.
thank you, Seth, for sharing your amazing book and contribution with internal family systems. And could you one more time give us your information so people can reach you for
Yeah.
consultations and your book?
Yeah. So my book is called Self-Led, and it's about how do I be with my parts in all areas of daily life. And you can reach me at sethkopal.com, SETHKOPALD.com.
Thank you. And I want to thank all our listeners for tuning into Passion of the Soul. I had a wonderful time. So please join me every first and third Thursday of each month, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. Now, next time on May 21st, we'll feature Alan Lieberman, and yes, he's my husband, and his most recent book, Rhymes That Nourish the Soul. Thank you, everyone, and we'll see you soon. Thank you for being with us today. I'm your host, Elena Lieberman. Be sure to tune in every first and third Thursday night at 5 p.m. Pacific and 8 p.m. Eastern on Transformation Talk Radio for more Passion of the Soul, where we connect with brilliant creators, artists, healers, and visionaries who have walked miraculous journeys. Continue the experience at dynamicmanifestation.com. And if today moved you, share the show and like us on social media so others can awaken their authentic potential too. Until next time, listen deeply, trust your innermost wisdom, and live your passion of the soul.